The Road Home by Penstroke. Chapter 7. Philly Scout Cookies. Sorry girls, can't talk right now. Super duper friend emergency in town. It involves flashlights animals, a garden, casuals, a sculpture of flashlight, and ample sex timber. We all know no adults mix, and if I don't insert some smiles into the situation stat, it'll get stirring and serious straight away. Neither Apple Bloom, Scootaloo, Sweetie Belle, or Twist had said a word to Pinkie Pie. Yes, they'd been heading up to the castle to talk to her. Apple Bloom had even opened her mouth to hail Pinkie when they saw her galloping towards them down the road. But Pinkie's strange intuition beat into the punch, and the four Phillies were standing silent. They watched Pinkie as he continued to gallop towards town. From where they stood, on the road that approached Nightstone Castle, they could see most of Ponyville along with the new palace. Yet, the palace looked very different from where they stood. The area behind the palace looked like it had been walled off, or rather, dammed off by beavers. They couldn't see much else what was going on, but Pinkie's additional words left much to the imagination. So, will you just turn around? Apple Bloom asked. Her saddlebag shifted a little as she turned, the contents inside loose. She was also the only one in the group carrying a bag, for the things they had to carry were still very few in number. I mean, we came up here to talk to Pinkie Pie, and there's no Pinkie Pie up here. Sleebelle squinted and lifted a hoof to her brow, trying to keep track of Pinkie Pie's movements as she became little more than a pink dot parkering across Ponyville. Well, we don't know how long she'll be gone. We could just wait to see if she comes back. I like that idea better than walking back to town, Scootaloo said, drawing a nod of agreement for Twist before the four continued up the road. Once more the castle found itself playing the temporary shelter for hundreds of ponies. All of the out-of-town volunteers had been given beds to sleep on, and food to eat and thank them for their effort. Food and bed for that itself was donated. All the equestrians seemed particularly willing to give the mares who defeated the magic-stealing T-Rex, as well as Equestria's newest princess. This place looks really plain considering Pinkie Pie's in charge. Sleebelle poked her head into the castle's main hall, which there were every pony sleeping on beds, with hay mattresses and thick blankets to cover said hay. Where's all the steamers and balloons? Applejack told me last night that Pinkie Pie's been running like a old big campout. So, less balloons and streamers, more campfires, spooky stories, and s'mores, Aunt Balloon said. Scootaloo made a deep throaty laugh. I bet the stories aren't even that scary, but the s'mores sound delicious! That reminds me, you go to try my new brownie recipe. It's a chocolate brownie on a graham cracker base with swirls of marshmallow. It's super yummy, Twist said, beaming with pride as she remembered how successful the recipe was. Can we stop talking about s'mores? All it's doing is making me hungry, and we need to be focusing on getting a blue ribbon for the treasure book. What's this all about a blue ribbon? The four Phillies turned to the unexpected voice. They see a tall, dark stranger leaning against the nearby corridor. At the moment, his voice was dark, brooding, with intensity. The stranger was in a gray and white patterned poncho, with dark gray cowboy hat. Yet the four Phillies began to smile, as the figure lifted his chin up, revealing a bright smile and a Gambo's colored coat. Chinese sandwich! The four Phillies cheered. Oh gods, I've got to work on my Weird Al impersonation. I don't think I can do this, guys. I'm out! You get your fine little flake over here! All of them easily remembering the grand party Stallion threw for Rainbow Dash, even if they didn't get to see all of it because of their bedtimes. The four rushed up to him, broad smiles on their faces as they looked up at the Stallion. What are you doing here? Well, I heard Pinkie Pie was rounding up ponies for a scientifically prolific project, and I wanted to see what all the hullabaloo was about. What about you four? What brings you to Ponyville? We live here, Twist answered. Cheese tossed his head back, causing his head to fall back onto his neck. His now free curly brown mane poofed up, and the head of a rubber chicken stuck out at a weird angle. Whoops! Not my boneless too. It's not like he's feeling very talkative right now, Cheese said as he tucked the chicken back into the depths of his curly mane. He's taking the loss of Boneless One really hard. Scootaloo leaned in and whispered quietly to Apple Bloom. Who's Boneless One? The rubber chicken that turned into Pinkie's cave for the box line, Apple Bloom replied back in an equally quiet whisper. Scootaloo made an O shape with her mouth and nodded in understanding, while Apple Bloom turned her attention back to Cheese Sandwich. Cheese Sandwich, We're gonna have to ask Pinkie Pie, please, but maybe you can help. We're looking for our first prize blue ribbon for a tug-of-war competition. And a kazoo, Twist added. Tease rubbed his chin. An interesting combination for a request, but you fillies are in luck. As a proper stock party player, I've got plenty of ribbons in hundreds of colors. Just tell me the kind of tug-of-war game you want to be running, and I'll recommend a perfect prize ribbon. And I should assume the kazoo is to signal the tuggers to tug. We need to replace a ribbon and a kazoo that our friend lost, Skillo said. She flipped open a flap on Apple Bloom's saddlebags, and then withdrew a blue ribbon. We were all on the same team, so we brought one of our own ribbons. Tease took the ribbon, tossing it to the ground around his host a few times, as he inspected it with a discerning eye. A number 5 style blue ribbon from Ribbon Revelries Ribbons, one of the largest suppliers to Equestria. It was made in the Manhattan factory, a mail-in order for the looks of it. Yes, the design is terrifying. This is a tug-of-war ribbon. It's one of the stock designs for the company. It's a quality ribbon. I prefer to get my prize ribbons for the prize company, but Ribbon Revelries Ribbons do good work too. But you have a spare one? Apple Bloom asked. I don't, but let me ask you. How soon do you need this ribbon? The 4 fillies glanced at one another, truthfully unsure of their timeline. Sweetbell didn't answer by saying, We probably need it before the palace is done, because that's when Nick should be coming back to town. That's not enough time to order one, but a party pony always knows what to do in a bit, T said with a bright smile. Here's what you do. Order a replacement ribbon, then give your friend one of your ribbons. That way, you can give her the complete present when she comes back, and one of you gets the brand new replacement ribbon in a week or two. Evelyn slipped her own ribbon into her saddlebags. Okay, that works for the ribbon, but what about Nice's kazoo? Well, that, my little ponies, is something I can provide, T said. Just tell me what color you need, and I'll get you one of the highest quality kazoos in all of Equestria. What color was Nix's kazoo? Sleepbell asked. The group stood in silent contemplation for a few moments, before Twist raised a hoof. Oh, I think it was red! Sleepbell, Applebloom, and Skillo nodded in agreement, and all 4 looked at T silence. The stallion had pulled his hat back onto his head, and smile followed back into a grim, desperate frown. All right, meet me back here at sunset, and I'll have your merchandise. We're not supposed to stay out that late unless we're with Santana, Applebloom said. Tease's smile returned to his face. Oh yeah, silly me. How about an hour from now, at 4 o'clock? That work? Once more, the 4 fillies nodded their heads in unison. Tease returned to the nod, and once more returned to his dark demeanor as he walked away, heading deeper into Nightstone Castle. Then I'll see you at 4. He's a strange one, Applebloom said as the 4 fillies turned to leave, their task at the castle done for the time being. Yeah, why do you think I keep shipping him with Pinkie Pie? So, what's next on that list? We need to find Rarity. If we're gonna make Nix a new Crusader keep, we have to ask her to make a little more of that special golden silk of hers, Sweetbell answered. I'm sorry. I couldn't imagine they'd do all this. Fluttershy had returned from her cottage, saddlebags laden with all kinds of seeds for the garden. She had been gone longer than she expected, over 3 hours, and at that time her animals had gone a little overboard. It's hard to understand how it all came to be. Yet from Applejack, Rarity, and Angel, she had been able to discern at least the gist of what happened. Under Angel's command, her friendly animals had invaded the construction site. They chased off the ponies, stole tools, and confiscated building supplies. Then, when the mice returned with the stolen property line paperwork from City Hall, they began tearing up the backyard to construct the animals' vision of a perfect garden for themselves. Something that didn't align with Rarity's designs or Applejack's work schedule. The whole situation would have probably broken down into a fight, if not for Pinkie Pie. She arrived just in time to keep tempers from boiling over, until Fluttershy could return to see what chaos her animals had wrought. I told all my animal friends to go home, and I promised you, Angel was going to be grounded for a week for taking this so far. Personally, Flares, I think it's about time we put that little bunny down! Angel, who had been standing next to Fluttershy like a punished child, tapped on one hoof. When she turned to look, Angel was giving her one of the cutest, pleading faces he had seen from the small bunny. Fluttershy's face began to shift from saddened, like ice melts away. Those blank bunny eyes, his cute little nose, Angel's just so sorry. How could she stay angry at that? Maybe grounding was too extreme. They did have good intentions. They just got carried away, and the sound of Applejack clearing her throat caught Fluttershy's attention. She looked to her friends, seeing Rarity and Applejack staring at her with stern expression. She put on a big smile, chuckled a bit before looking back down at Angel. She spoke with a scolding voice, though her heart wasn't in it.
Now go on home, and I expect to find you in your little rabbit house. You are grounded for a week, mister.
Though he kicked the ground in protest, Angel did as he was told and began bouncing back towards the cottage. Fluttershy watched him for a few moments, then looked back to Rarity and Applejack.
Again, I'm so sorry, girls. I know I kind of encouraged this, but I just thought we'd plant some pretty flowers and hang some small birdhouses. I didn't know they would go overboard.
Well, I suppose there's no reason dwelling on it now, Rarity said as she looked to the mess left behind by small animals. But I'm afraid we just can't leave a mess like this either. We've got to try to put things back to the way they were to do a proper garden. Applejack turned her head sharply, looked at Rarity like the word insanity had been stamped on her horn. And where exactly do y'all expect us to find time for that? We already lost half a day because of this. The day shift volunteers will be heading up to the castle for dinner by the time we even get everything put back the way it was.
I do appreciate that,
Verity argued.
At the same time, we can't leave the mess the way it is. It's an unsightly, half-finished disaster. Frankly, I even say it would be easier to finish a proper garden than to try and undo what has been done.
Oh, and of course you say that. You've been wanting a garden since this whole thing started. Applejack snapped her jaw shut, as if trying to prevent the escape of more antagonistic eyes. She then turned and began stomping off, huffing and puffing like a boiler that was ready to blow.
Applejack, where are you going?
Fluttershy asked as gently as he could. To bug some apple trees before I end up bucking some pony in my head!
But what about the palace?
And that shit four pony knows what he has to have every pony do! Applejack shouted back, continuing to stomp away. Fluttershy and Rarity glanced at one another, and reached a silent agreement. After the animal-induced headache Applejack had endured that afternoon, letting her blow off some steam was the best course of action.
Then, I suppose we had better start figuring out what to do with the castle gardens,
Rarity said. She gave her head a little toss, mostly for Fluttershy to follow her back to the design tent.
Tell me, do you recall if any of our volunteers have experience with exterior landscaping? I think there were a couple.
Good. Be a dear, I'll find Rainbow Dash. She's been flying back and forth, attending to errands with a few other Pegasi.
Have her go ask Piggyfy which one of our volunteers have that expertise. Then have Rainbow Dash tell him to do all the trot to come to the design tent. But wasn't Pinkie Pie just down here, trying to keep Applejack from chasing off my animals?
Fluttershy asked. Rarity nodded, seeing Fluttershy pass into the design tent.
She was, but I haven't seen her in a while. I can only assume she's gone back to Nightstone Castle.
With that, Rarity and Fluttershy's conversation grew muffled. But a certain pink pony had heard all she needed to. Pinkie Pie opened the front door to the castle palace wider, poking her head out with a wide smile.
These two are preparing night kitchens to go. Just had to wait for the next shift to arrive. And with some proper big bribery, that party-quality kitchen will be ready to go by morning.
Discord sat back in his chair, hind legs up on the game table, for he used his tail to readjust and reposition the pieces. He was sipping on a cup of what a bystander might mistake as hot chocolate, but the boiling stew within was as hot as lava. Any normal cup could have melted, and the marshmallows were nothing but charred, burnt specks. It was just a thing for him to enjoy before turning in for tonight. After all, his little adventurers were all starting to nod off. He wasn't going to be so cruel as to send the hordes after them in their sleep. Yes, it was being a kind and benevolent master of the world. After all, the goal wasn't to put them through soul-hardening trials and tribulations. At least, that was not a primary goal. All he was doing was buying time. One did not need to bring the world to the brink of destruction to do that. A perfect example was the bad encounter roll Twilight's party had received. For a roll like that, he should have dropped one gigantic, unstoppable monster on their heads. Instead, he sliced the danger of it to smaller pieces. It made the threat much more bite-sized. Stretching and scratching, Discord let his eyes wander from game board to horizon. Ponies recalled the view from the mountaintop spectacular, especially earth ponies. A view from the heavens to let them keep their hooves on solid terra firma. For Discord, however, he couldn't help but see the showboating work of one particular princess. I see You're hamming it up with the sunset again, Celestia. All those reds, oranges, and blues. Why don't you mix it up for once and throw in some... Discord was cut off by something he honestly did not expect. A knock at the door. He sat up for the chair that had grown next to the game table. Craning his neck, he hadn't noticed his little ceiling had grown a door. Yet there it was. At the bottom of a long staircase was a large pair of extra tall double doors. The knock came again, proving to Discord he hadn't just imagined it. Well, isn't this delightfully unexpected? Discord downed the remainder of his hot lava with burnt marshmallows, then ate the cup as well, before approaching the staircase. He took a seat on the banister, and used his tail to make a small snap. In an instant, the banister began to move, countering downward in a smooth, almost regal manner, before coming to a slow, smooth stop at the bottom. Thank you, good man. Have a tip? He tossed a bit at the banister, one it cut with, and ate a previously non-existent mouth. The banister gave a small, grateful burp, while Discord himself placed a claw on the door, and opened it just enough for to stick his head out. What scares me is that was a little more insane than what I was thinking. I was thinking it was going to have a little bellboy hat. Two ponies were standing out of the recently grown doorstep. One was a little filly with a pink rose and a pair of rectangular ganses. She was wearing a green Philly Scout's cap and sass. Next to her was a very large stallion, in height and gut, with a dark brown coat and a saw for a cutie mark. He was carrying saddlebags laden with numerous boxes. Hello, Discord said, rolling the words slowly in his mouth. The little filly retreated behind the older stallion.
Grandpa, instinct.
Yes, but don't worry.
The stallion gave her a little nudge.
This is your practice on the way here.
The little filly nodded, then cleared her throat and looked at Discord with the eye.
Hello, sir. I'm Pink Rose of Maintown Philly Scout Troop, number 23. I came to sell cookies in Lumberton with my grandfather, and we heard from a Pegasus about your new home. What better way is there to celebrate a newly, grown home, with delicious Philly Scout cookies?
Discord opened the door a little further, leaning his back against the frame as he crossed his paw and claw. You came all the way out here to sell cookies? Under Discord's gaze, Rose began looking down at her tiny host, as if they were the most interesting things in the world. She tried to look back at him a few times, opening her mouth a little as if to form a word, but the second she made eye contact, she looked straight back at the ground. This continued for a good 10 seconds, before her grandfather stepped in. He was not really what Discord thought he imagined a grandfather. Instead, he was a stallion in the middle of his life. Likely, he was a father who had a young child, who, in turn, had a child of his or her own at an equally young age.
Yes, sir. You see, I love this daughter of my daughter so much. She's my little spring rose. So, when my daughter asked if I could help with cookie sales, how was I supposed to say no? She sold to just about every pony in Lumberton.
But I'm still behind Golden Shoe.
Rose managed to say, with some strength returning to her voice. So he standed staring at her hose, looking at her grandfather.
This guy sold the most cookies again this year, and get a new skater. She doesn't even really want it. She got a new skater last month. She just doesn't want the rest of us to have it.
Do not fear my spring rose. She will not win.
I always thought her name was Pink Rose, Discord said, smiling as he watching a comedic routine.
Grandpa always gives little ponies like me nicknames.
Jack, as in Lumberjack, the pony who has that lovely little tree and log emporium at Canterlot every winter. Discord asked, his body suddenly bursting with pine peels as he stood up straight, looking truly like a tall tree to the two ponies.
Ah, you heard of me? Well, I guess that would make sense. You friends of Twilight Sparkle, no? Her family is one of my best customers. Night has a very good idea for fire color. Here, Discord, how about some cookies? They are delicious. We have all the kinds. We have meat mountains. We have labradoodles. We've had the two steps. They're good for anything. Tell him, Spring Rose.
Oh, Rose stumbled for a moment. They took a deep breath to mimic her grandfather's still savvy. She was now able to meet Discord's eyes, as if her grandfather was emitting an aura of infectious curse. Yes, you're good with milk, great for ponies. Every pony loves Philly Scout cookies.
It is true!
Discord shook out the pine branches, which fell to the floor and scampered away like lobsters on the ocean floor. The fallen branches also revealed Discord was now wearing a sleek, pinstripe suit. He flipped a coin over in his paw while holding a toothpick dainty in his teeth. You come to me on this day of some pony's daughter's wedding with such a request. Me, who can manifest cookies with grander quality with a thought. You come to me and speak to me as if I'm some other pony. That takes spine. So much spine, you probably have some vertebra extra rolling around on your back. So, let me make you an offer you can't refuse. I have a party I need to go to. A big one in Ponyville. I'll need enough cookies for a small boat. I can imagine such a large cookie order could help you with your shoe problem. But in return, I need a favor.
What is favor?
Numblejack asked, his voice was still pony bravados, retracting into uneasy caution. I'll just need you to be at a certain place at a certain time. Please come in, and I'll tell you the details.
Flash! It's getting too dark to see anything. We're stopping to make camp.
Flash Sentry glanced down at the locomotive, been chugging its way across Rainbow Range. They had stopped at Lumberton the previous evening to get some information about the area, a detailed map, and to wait out the night. When the sun rays came, they began their search in earnest, slowly making their way across the Rainbow Range as they looked for any sign of their missing royals. So far, their search had turned up next to nothing. From the sky, all Flash could see were the train tracks directly below, and the trees of Rainbow Range extending over the landscape like a heavy green blanket. They had spotted a few trails of smoke, and they investigated each one in hopes that it was the royal family camping in the woods. But no, the kids either belonged to hikers or a group of woodcutters. The princesses looked as if they were always seemed to be at another campsite. Still, despite his desire to keep on searching, Lapis Lance was right. It was getting too dark to see. The greens of the forest were becoming an inky black as the sun finished setting. The moon would soon step out of the horizon and begin its waltz amongst the stars. And while beautiful, it would not provide enough light to continue their search. So Flash ascended, circling as he glided down to the locomotive his squad had been lent for their search. Ardent, Lapis Lance, and Gem's shield were slowing the engine, letting the boiler vent the steam. The beast of pistons and pipes began to slow, eventually coming to a rest nearby a slightly open glade where the quartet could easily make camp.
Jim and I will get a fire going,
Ardent said as the two ponies disembarked from the locomotive, stepping onto the soft grass just as Flash landed. Flash and Lapis stepped off the train a few moments later, carrying a carefully rolled map of the Rainbow Range, spread it out on the ground, and began to trace his hoofs before tapping a point along the tracks. Looks like we're about halfway through the mountains, Lapis said. I thought we'd make better time, but we were running the train at such a slow pace. We probably could have covered the same distance walking if we wanted to.
The slow pace is a good thing.
Flash Sentry gave the ends of a map a kick, making it roll back into a 2.
We want to make sure we don't miss the princesses. And once we wait on her back up, we can open her up and make some better time. Especially if we find them, I doubt the princesses will want to walk back to the Crystal Empire.
Lapis nodded, picking up the rolled map and depositing it on the locomotive. He then began to walk towards the front of the engine. I suppose you're right. Now come and help me inspect the engine while we wait for Gem and Arden to make the Flash had been looking back at the locomotive itself, and Lapis's voice ended abruptly. He turned to see what had happened to his comrade, but Flash saw no trace. Like the volunteer in a magician's show performance, Lapis had vanished. Guard training kicking in, Flash quickly put himself on guard and began to cautiously approach the last place he had seen Lapis. In his head, he was running through all the possibilities. He could be under attack from bandits, or perhaps a carnivorous magical creature native to the mountains. Or it was a hole, from which he could hear the muffled cursing of a familiar voice. Flash landed on the edge of the deep hole that was almost entirely hidden by the shadow of the train that was slowly growing light of Luna's moon. He couldn't see anything in the depths, but a moaning and currying voice continued.
So, Lapis, you down there?
Ugh, what hit me? Lapis shouted back, his words echoing with the echoes of his body, shuffling against the dirt to stand up. Gravity! Flash answered back, wishing now they had a unicorn with them. Still, he retreated to the train just a few moments before, returning with some glowing crystals from their supply bags. He tapped the two crystals together, causing them to glow even brighter as their magnetic magic activated. He then dropped them into a hole, letting them tumble down to provide Lapis with light. Ow! Then unintentionally, a new dent in his helmet. Sorry! Flash shouted down into the hole, now illuminated from the bottom by two crystals. You could see Lapis standing on his four hooves, and rubbing the spot on his helmet where the crystals had hit. He hoped the pain had even been more reactive than a sign of any real damage done. But now there was a light, and the pair began to properly inspect the unexpected hole. Looks like a diamond dog tunnel, Flash said, recognizing some of the telltale claw marks from his training. They've been known to live in the Rainbow Range, Lapis confirmed. Picked up two gems, dousing them in one hoof as he closely inspected the walls and tunnel, then branched off from where he landed. I see a lot of contending tunnels down here. Looks like it was a whole pack. You don't think this... Flash! Lapis! We found a fire pit! Jim and Arden came jogging up, Arden carrying a moltly burned stick in his mouth. He quickly spat to the ground. Somebody was staying here recently, last few nights. There were no signs of dirt or water being poured on the pit, meaning it was likely smothered magically. Flash nodded, a bit of fire in his eyes as he took to wing. He dove into the hole, flying all the way down and cranking up Lazarus. Then he flew back to the top, depositing his comrade outside the hole and landing beside himself. Get more light crystals for the train. We may have just found our princess's campsite.